What's up everybody, it's RobinGaming here. So yesterday I got Uncharted, the Nathan Drake collection. You've probably all seen that unboxing video. And today is the day that I've already beaten Drake's Fortune on my PlayStation 4. I live streamed myself doing so on Twitch. You've all seemed to have been really enjoying it and stuff. And I was discussing what I would do today with the Twitch audience. And we agreed that I should probably be doing a review for Drake's Fortune, while at the same time kind of giving you some first impressions for the Nathan Drake collection itself. First impressions having already beaten one out of the 3 games, and probably the one that most people are interested in because it's the one that is most outdated technically as well, right? Because it's the oldest game in the series. So I think what I'm gonna start off with is those first impressions, and it's pretty basic, right? We all knew, and I've said this multiple times, that the Nathan Drake collection is nothing more than the 3 single players from the Uncharted games taken, remastered in 1080p, 60 frames per second, looking slightly better. There's some more details everywhere and stuff, but in terms of gameplay and in terms of, you know, the game itself, it is still very similar to what you know. And in that way, you know, this is already pretty much gonna be the same as I think the conclusion in the review itself, is that buy the Nathan Drake collection if you are looking forward to playing these games again in its single player form on the PlayStation 4, looking slightly better, and if you're willing to spend the $60 for those 3 games, you know, remastered like that, right? You know, for example, in preparation for Uncharted 4. I myself think it's well worth it because I love this series, and that is really what the Nathan Drake collection is. That being said though, the 60 frames per second, man, it feels so smooth, and that is actually what I kind of want to lead into with my Drake's Fortune review as well, is that I've seen many other reviews from people where they said that Drake's Fortune simply hadn't aged well. And although that is true in the way that if you play it now on the PlayStation 3, you're gonna notice that the controls are kind of bad, and you know, it just doesn't really play very smooth, and there's like screen tearing everywhere, and the graphics aren't really as up to date as you would think they would be. But I just played it on the PS4, and sure, it isn't that same, you know, it doesn't look the same as a native PS4 game does right now, but man, I honestly think it's kind of, you know, from what I've heard of these reviewers saying that it hasn't even aged well on the PS4, I don't know about that, because I personally feel like the 60 frames per second story with this game, yeah, it makes it not feel outdated to me at all, and I, you know, really easily managed to work my way through the game. Didn't really struggle a lot. I played the game on normal difficulty, but it was still, you know, I think they kind of cranked the difficulty up a bit. Even for normal, the game is a bit harder than it is on the PlayStation 3, but I only died a couple of times, and usually that was like in the platforming aspects, and not really the shootouts itself, you know, the gun combat encounters. That being said, yeah, I totally enjoyed it, and I think, you know, Drake's Fortune is still a must-have. If you haven't played that one yet, and you do really like the Uncharted series, you've played 2 and 3, then, you know, you just want to know the origin story. You want to know how Drake, Elena, and Sully got together in the first place, right? And so, yeah, that's kind of my thing, is I thought Drake's Fortune played super smooth, especially now with the remastered version. It's totally worth it, but it is very much the same game. So talking about the game itself, what I always really appreciated about Uncharted Drake's Fortune, the very first Uncharted game, is that its premise wasn't really as mind-blowing as, say, Uncharted 2 and 3. This is not a globe-trotting adventure around the world. This game doesn't have epic set pieces everywhere where Naughty Dog tried to go, you know, all out with it. No, this is a very self-contained story taking place on just one big island, has a jungle setting all around the entire game, and that is simply what it is. But, you know, rather than actually, for example, comparing it to Uncharted 3, where some things weren't done well, what Drake's Fortune really makes me respect is that it did everything it tried to do. It did it almost perfectly, and so, you know, I just love the story itself. I don't know how well I should go into it. I might still do some kind of spoiler cast for these games, but, you know, story-wise, Drake's Fortune I think has the best self-contained plot out of the trilogy. Where, you know, Drake and Elena and Sully go looking for, you know, the treasure of El Dorado, this apparently golden city. Later turns out to be something different, but I won't really get into that. And they're being chased by 2 villains, Roman and Navarro, awesome characters, while at the same time having encounters with a guy called Eddie Raja, a separate branch of enemies, the pirates that are on the island also searching for the treasure. And yeah, I just love that. I think character-wise, story-wise, Drake's Fortune is awesome. Gameplay-wise, it is definitely definitely the most clunky out of the trilogy. You know, you notice that when going in the gun combat encounters, when trying to do the platforming aspects of it sometimes, you know, sometimes Nathan Drake won't reach the kind of things, you know, you wanted to reach, or he won't do the things you expected him to do, which sucks, but you can get over it very easily, and I beat this game in 4.5 hours now on normal difficulty. Sure, I know what to do everywhere and stuff, but it tells you that it is very easy to get through it, and really, you know, like, it isn't as annoying as some people maybe make it out to be, and I think the game aged perfectly, and especially now on the PS4, it looks great. The gameplay is the most clunky out of the three, but still plays great, you know, just because it is now upgraded to 60 frames per second. It really helps in that way as well. So then I talked about the story, I talked about the gameplay. Graphically, the game still looks amazing, kind of has to do the same there, right? You can see the gameplay right now. Yeah, you know, Bluepoint did a great job of remastering this, and the game already looked amazing on the PlayStation 3, and so, you know, there's not really much of a difference there. Value-wise, though, you know, of course you're getting the collection, so you're getting like all 3 games. Drake's Fortune in itself never had multiplayer, but yeah, you know, me having said now that I beat the game in 4.5 hours, that does make it feel like that's nothing, right? But I think if you play it on your first time through, or normal, on hard, for example, or you go for a second playthrough for the platinum as well, then, you know, you'll be able to get at least 15 hours out of the game, I would say. So, you know, all in all, once again, that is kind of my conclusion for this, is I love the Nathan Drake collection already, simply because I want to replay the awesome single-player adventures that the Uncharted series, you know, contain. And Drake's Fortune, out of the 3, is definitely the least one for me personally. At least, you know, it still comes close to 3, but it's not as good as Uncharted 2 for sure. But that being said, it's still a very nice self-contained story that it's part of the collection, and if you decide to spend your money on the collection, if you've not played, you know, Uncharted yet before, if you've not played Uncharted 1 yet before, but you have maybe tried out 2 and 3, this is a must-have. You need to still see this to see where it all started with. And Drake's Fortune, I still love it. I really respect it for what it does. It has a more mysterious tone to it. The soundtrack is different, the setting is different, the game itself is so different from what Uncharted 2 and 3 tried to do, and I really appreciate that. So all in all, in itself, yeah, you know, Drake's Fortune, obviously, if you're getting the collection, you need to play it, and I think the game itself it was mind-blowing when I played it back when in 2009, when it was my first Uncharted game I ever played, and it still is a great experience, even having already played it 5 to 10 times. So I would personally give, as a review score for my experience, you know, the first time through, I would give Uncharted Drake's Fortune a 9.2 out of 10. Remastered now, it's kind of a different story, but it's still an awesome game, so I'm simply going to leave it at that score for my experience. Drake's Fortune gets a 9.2 out of 10, and I hope to see you again tonight when I'm streaming Among Thieves on Twitch, and I'll definitely make sure to also do a review on that. So for now, thanks everybody for watching. I appreciate it. Please leave a like if you you know, enjoyed the video. It really helps me out. And for now, yeah, as I said, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again next time.